Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. Paul Jasson with you. We are downtown in the lobby of Fairfield Federal with our usual spot here in the corner. And as we begin our taping session today, it is just a fabulous day here in downtown Lancaster. We appreciate your joining us. We're going to kick it off by talking about one of my favorite subjects to talk about, being somebody that's lived here my entire life, the Lancaster City Schools. It's a pleasure to have with us the Superintendent Nathan Hale. Nathan, welcome.
Thank you for having me this morning.
4 years now,
We're going into 4 years.
Going into 4 years. It's been interesting. Let's start with that. Interesting 4 years. You knew that when you came in because you were in the system before that. But it's been an interesting and certainly a never 2 days alike time for you, I would guess.
Absolutely. That's what I love about the job, though. It's always something different every day and keeps it exciting. And not a lot of people can say that. So. That's one of the parts of the job that I love, is it is something different every single day.
And we'll talk about Lancaster High School. It's coming online here really before you know it, in a couple of years. But when I see people talk about the schools around, everybody almost always talks with pride about how these new schools look and how you've repurposed. I forget which it was. Oh yeah, General Sherman. That's the one I like to talk about being repurposed.
Okay.
Because it is such great things over there. And as I said, and I may have mentioned this to you before, I was a Sherman boy. My wife's uncle, Dwight Kane, was the first principal at General Sherman. His picture is now out at General Sherman at its new location, but I tell people it's great that they repurposed it, and Thomas Ewing never looked better than it does now on Fair Avenue, because they blew it up, and it's gone, and it's a ball field now, and I think that's perfect, and General Sherman is still going strong.
And I was a Sherman student myself.
See how great it is? How great! I know you can't play favoritism with that, but don't tell Steve Post that. We won't let him know that. We're a ways off yet, although actually a month away from school starting. It's almost on us again now as it begins in late August. New principals, I hear.
We do.
Got some changes.
We've had some changes within the district, and so fortunately a lot of the movements come within. So we promoted some people from within. So have a new principal over at Gorsuch West Elementary, Mrs. Amy Tate, will be joining there. She was an instructional coach at Gorsuch West and has been working with our data and testing.
That's nice.
And Evan Thomas, who is a Lancaster graduate, has been the assistant principal at Medill Elementary, and he'll be taking over at Mount Pleasant. Shannon Burke will be coming down to central office to take over as our director of secondary education. And then Nelson Karshner, who's been the assistant principal at General Sherman, will be taking over in August. Mr. Page is retiring.
At Sherman?
At Sherman.
Okay.
And so he'll be retiring later on this fall, but Nelson will be taking over at the beginning of the year. And then John Spires, who was at Gorsuch West, is going to be moving up to Stanberry. We've put a full-time principal at Stanberry based on our online and blended programs, and so needed a presence there, and John, having the high school background, was the perfect fit. So a lot of movement, but as I told our group the other day, I said, we've made our district better. So excited to see the new folks in their new roles.
I was going to ask you about that too, as we think about all the new schools and the new buildings and everything. Stanberry still will have some kind of presence in the new system?
They will. We have some career tech programs there now that will be moving into the new high school, and we also have some online, some blended programming that we do along with our career-based intervention programs. And so those will remain at Stanberry for at least 3 to 4 years until we kind of make sure that everything fits at the new high school and that it's a good fit for those programs out there.
I saw something about there's going to be a new time to start school, a new time to end Bell. I don't know if they call that Bell program what it is, but things are perhaps a little different there?
Yeah, we've looked at transportation, as we know, with bus driver shortages
kind of drive
and so forth. It kind of drove this. And so before the new junior highs opened, our junior highs used to start after the high school. And so we moved them before the high school, and we found out that it was difficult to get buses into the center of town at the end of the day. So now we're going to start with our buses at the high school in the afternoon, and they'll go out instead of going
Since
out.
the schools are out now.
Yeah,
I mean,
so,
location-wise, they're out.
So the junior highs will be starting at 8 o'clock, which is a little bit later than the past, but it's actually the same time they used to go before the new junior highs opened. So we're kind of going back to the way we used to have it. And then we're also bumping the elementaries just by 5 minutes, just to give us a little bit more cushion with that transportation and to make that flow a little bit better. So junior highs will start at 8 o'clock and elementaries will start at 9 o'clock. So a slight difference there. And then high school's on the same schedule, and our preschool schedule remains the same. So
Has it been challenging, or has it given you a separate set of problems possibly about Sherman not being within the confines of the west side or wherever it would be? Because now Ewing is it's on Sheridan Drive, it's right there, but Sherman is a little off. Has that created any kind of not a problem, but just a different way of thinking?
It's a little bit of a challenge just because there's no direct route out there with the way Election House Road kind of works. So didn't really have a choice in land, but it does present a challenge, and that's why we try to tweak everything every so often just to make sure that we're trying something that works a little more effectively.
And like I say, we talked about that, but boy, the schools, local boy was the architect, that's always good, but they just look phenomenal.
They're fantastic. People always talk, sometimes when you build new schools, they always say, it's over the top, and it's the Taj Mahal.
We didn't have that when I was in school.
But, we have great buildings. They're functional. They do what we need them to do. And, they'll serve the community for, another 60 to 70 years. And that was the plan. So it's been exciting to be a part of all that. But, they are great facilities. And the high school is going to be, the crown jewel, so to speak, here in a couple of years when it opens up.
I was fortunate enough to go to what was the high school then. It's now Stanberry, for 1 year before it closed. The last year that they got out of that school was 63. 64 was the first year in the current high school. So I found somewhere that the original high school started in like 1918. So it went from like 1918 to 1963. That was the original high school. And this school now has gone from 1964 till 2024, 2025. So long lifespans. And I would say this school out here now, technology-wise, I'm sure that's what drove all the new things needed. You just can't do everything and retrofit everything in there. But the building still is in pretty good shape, even after all these years. The schools have taken good care of that.
It is, and I say they did things right 60 years ago when they went through the construction, and our promise to the community is that hopefully we've done things right this time so that they can enjoy another 60 to 70 years of life.
That'd be great, because sometimes the newer construction doesn't last.
Yeah.
If you have a home that was built 100 years ago, maybe you could still live in that now, and it's probably a beautiful home, but perhaps a home now built today may not last 100 more years. So I'm pulling for you on that.
We think we've done it right.
That's great. The new high school, that's the big guy on the bulletin board now. Here we are moving into the 24-25 school year. Is it supposed to be online 25, or is that 26?
26.
26. So it's a year away, roughly a year away.
August
full year.
26. Yeah.
Pretty much on schedule, you think?
On schedule. We've had great weather, which has helped out. Even last winter was good weather for us, and so we're just about to the point where we'll have everything kind of closed in, walls and roofing and windows and so forth. So that's when a lot of the work that takes place inside the building you won't see, but there's still 2 years worth of work to do inside. So
yeah, and I tell you, now when you're on 37, there's all the trees. You can't in schools and there's houses and stuff in there. But what a phenomenal looking building. Now what I've seen looks like the entrance with the big pillars and all that. Will that face like 37, or that will be the downside?
The existing building.
Yes, it will be on that side.
Yes.
That will be what we consider the main look of the school.
The south side of the
building.
building.
The back side of the schools will be on 37.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a breathtaking how amazing that's going to be.
So all of our career tech programs will be out there. So we're adding all of what we have at Stanberry will now be at the new high school, and so we've added quite quite a bit of space for those programs. But it's going to be a great facility, and state of the art technology and so forth, and security and everything that we need in a high school. And there's some things that we wanted. There are some extras to make it look really nice. But our community deserves that. Our kids, our staff, they deserve the best. And so hopefully that's what we're going to deliver in a couple of years.
Will it have, and I think maybe you just spoke to that a little bit, like auto shop and welding and some of the other things that Lancaster High School has always had there at that end of the high school, down at the far end of the high school? Will it have all those kind of programs out there?
They will. Every career tech program will be in under that roof.
It's amazing to see that. I mean, it's just, when I think about it, and I think Scott Burry, who's the principal at the Lancaster High School, told me this years ago, and it didn't strike me until he said that, because they were just starting to build the ball diamonds on Fair Avenue back then. But he said, and they hadn't even started on the school yet, but he said once the high school gets built, which is now beyond the existing high school, from Fair Avenue all the way down to almost Ohio University Lancaster, will be LHS campus.
Yes.
That's in a day and age where if you go to Columbus and some of those schools, this bank building right here might be the footprint of a school up there. Land is precious, and here, as you say, they thought about this 60 years ago, and now you're still thinking about that. It's going to be an amazing campus that Lancaster will have.
Yeah, Dr. Brown coined the phrase "the Education Valley."
Jack Brown. He was there when I was there.
When you stand on Fair Avenue and look down through that valley, there's not a setting anywhere. I challenge people to find a better setting for a high school campus, from the ball fields all the way up, like you said, to Ohio University Lancaster. There's not a better setting anywhere.
And that just didn't happen. It just didn't fall into place. I mean, there was, like you say, 60 years ago, and then you folks were thinking about this when you built the school. Now, is there a timetable to when, if everything goes according to schedule, when the high school now would come down?
That summer, it will come down. Demolition of the new high school will start probably May, June of 2026.
Before the high school is even open?
Before it's open. So that
once
summer,
you're confident that's open.
That summer will be demolition, construction of parking lots, kind of getting all that groundwork. So there's going to be some time probably at the beginning of that school year where they'll be building parking lots and all those things, and we'll have to use existing parking and probably shuttle the kids up from the existing parking lots up to the new building.
Is that what the current high school is, and the tech building there and everything right there? That'll be parking?
That'll be parking
leading right up to the school, because it starts right behind that, right?
Yeah, and some softball fields down the road.
Okay, because you had to take those out to...
Yeah, so the softball fields will be about where the main entrance to the high school is now. So there'll be 2 softball fields, then parking, and then the new high school from there.
And I even think about the athletic department. I mean, once upon a time, all there was Fulton Field there, and everything else was Thomas Ewing in the high school parking lot. Now, from Fair Avenue all the way up pretty much to the parking lot right there is athletic fields, softball, baseball, Radashida's tennis courts. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
And when we have so many kids that participate, we need all that space. It's used once the school year starts, and even through the summer months, it's used, 5 days a week, every hour that it's available. So it's desperately needed.
Nathan Hale with the Lancaster City Schools. Like you say, if you like a job if your kind of job is one that never any 2 days are alike, you picked the right job.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure for the 4 or 5 years that you've been around in this position, your phone rings, I'd say, a good bit.
It does, but I always say there's a lot more good days than bad days, and so you can't get that in a lot of jobs, and so I appreciate the community support, and love every day going to work.
Well, obviously we know the community's behind it with the things they voted in, and the way you've turned it around, and all the new schools are so great. So just congratulations, and we'll talk as we get closer to the new high school, but golly, it's going to be an exciting time. I'll wait for the open house. That'll be pretty great.
You'll be first on the invitation list.
Nathan Hale from the Lancaster City Schools Superintendent with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference. Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The staff that have been here know what it takes. They've been on the other side. They see what it takes to make someone comfortable, to make the family comfortable, and really what kind of support they need. And so I think that's what really makes Fairhope what it is.
I want a doctor who listens to me.
From primary care to specialty medicine, we put your needs first by treating you like a person, not a number. Our primary care team will help you identify your healthcare needs and set goals for success, regardless of where you are in your wellness journey. We care for patients of all ages, with offices that are close to you. Whatever you're searching for, you can find it at Fairfield Medical Center.
The reason why I do what I do is I love helping people, and I really love to work on understanding and striving to improve the lives of the people in our community. Being in Fairfield County is having a network of people around you.
I am driven by my belief that every individual deserves an opportunity to achieve mental and emotional balance, and I'm very passionate about contributing to that process.
Community, connections, collaboration. The Fairfield County Way.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Welcome back to Fairfield Today. Appreciate Nathan Hale stopping by and give us an update on the Lancaster City Schools. So exciting, you know, we're a year plus away from the new high school, so as we move into that last phase of all the building, it's a pretty exciting time there. And on Fairfield Today, we love talking with the arts. We love talking about all the things that go on around here, and there are so many nice groups that sing and perform and are actors that do things around here. And we've got one of those opportunities today. It's the Garret Players, maybe one of the first ones we ever talked about. Gosh, I can't even remember, many years ago with Ron Keaton, who was the boss here, and then came in and started talking about the Garret Players. But they've got a new publication coming on here, a Neil Simon play called Chapter 2. And if you know Neil Simon, you know that's one of the good ones. And we've got the co-director with us now, Ellen Simmons. Ellen, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
Paul.
for joining us. It's coming up here shortly in just a week or two, August 16th, 17th, and 18th, yep. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And of course, they're the Garret Players for that reason. They are just a block away at the upstairs at the Fairfield County District Library there. Friday at 7 o'clock, Saturday at 7 o'clock, and then Sunday a matinee at 2 p.m. It's getting close here. Are a little bit of nerves. You have some sweaty palms as we get ready for that?
Well, that's part of any production, I think, and it's actually a good thing because it keeps you on your toes.
Sure.
You know, if you say, we got this, then you slide a little bit. So we need to keep that energy going, and we're getting ready. We're getting ready.
Now, you're like a lot of people that we've had on over the years, talked about so many years now with the Garret Players, but so many of them started as actors. They had that bug. They did it in high school. They're doing it in college. They do it now as post-college people. But then sooner or later, many of them decide, well, we'll give a try at this directing thing, and that's where we are with you now.
Yes, I have not directed anything before. And actually, I've been an actor in several productions here and kind of was recruited in that and did not give a thought to directing, but we are trying to take turns and each step up to the plate. Sure. And so, my hand went up. And I'm actually very pleased to say that I'm co-directing this with Rebecca Martin, who happens to be my dear and beloved first cousin,
Nice.
who lives right here in Lancaster.
All in the family.
All in the family. So it's more fun because we're together.
Well, that's good. And like we say, we mentioned the name of Ron Keaton, a name I know is not unfamiliar with you. You remember that as somebody that's you've heard, I'm sure, at many of the plays.
Oh, yes, and Ron and I worked together in several plays as well. Wonderful, wonderful man. I greatly appreciate his vision, he and his wife Donna. And it's nice to have, Lancaster is blessed with many, many wonderful arts organizations, as you mentioned, and fabulous theater. There's a lot of extra good theater in town. In fact, the Rising Arts Alliance is a new one that's excellent. One nice thing about the Garret Theater, Garret Players I should say, is that you don't pay a cent to come and see a show for us.
That is a plus.
That is a plus. And generally you get cookies too, which in my mind that is really a bonus.
Free thing and cookies. You can't lose.
You can't lose, no. So that's always a draw for me. But we do it at the library because we are involved with the Friends of the District Library.
Sure.
And they support us and we support them with our revenues. And you don't have to pay, you just come and enjoy. And that makes a nice offering for the people in town, because sometimes you just don't have that money. You want to go, and here you can do it. The other difference with the Garret Players, which drew me to it, is we do plays, but technically they are stage readings. When you come to a Garret show, we know our stuff. We're prepared. We've rehearsed. But you'll see the actors have their scripts in hand. And that's because it's technically a reading. And once you're there and you're watching, you forget that script is there. But I tell you, from the other side of the script, the actor, it's nice to have that there. I'm an old lady now. I don't want to have to worry about my lines. Yeah. And that takes the joy away from me, because but when it's there, I know what I'm doing, but it's there if I need it. And it makes a much more enjoyable performance.
I think early on when I had Ron on many years ago when the Garret Players were just starting, he explained this whole thing to me, and I thought, that sounds pretty goofy to me. I mean, people walking around with books, I mean, all you're going to see is people, but as I watch the plays, you don't even know they have them. I mean, the people almost never use them. Right. But again, it's good to have it there, but I mean, it doesn't plus detract or minus anything on the play.
Right. And it's kind of like trumped oil, it's you see it, it's there, but you don't see it. Yeah.
Ellen Simmons is our guest. She's the director of the most recent Garret Players play that will be coming up here August 16th, 17th, and 18th. It's Chapter 2, a Neil Simon play. Give us a thumbnail sketch of what Chapter 2 is.
I'll be glad to. I'm very happy to say that we're going retro here with Neil Simon, because for people of a certain age, such as myself, Neil Simon, that's the big time.
Big dog.
Big dog. And even if you've never seen a play, but you've been to the movies, you've seen Neil Simon in The Odd Couple and several other things. And generally, Neil Simon means laughs. He's a wonderful comedy writer. But you also get the heartstrings pulled too, and that makes for a good play. So we have Chapter 2, which opens in a cold February day in New York City, and you see two guys struggling into an apartment with luggage. One of them is George. He's about 42 years old. He's just returned from Europe, where he's gone to try to cope with the loss of his wife. His wife has died very recently, and he's brokenhearted. And his brother Leo is helping, picked him up at the airport, and they come struggling in. And George has got to try to deal with picking up his life after his wife, whom he dearly loved. And Leo thinks, okay, it's time to get back in the dating pool. Don't just sit around. You got to get back to it. And like everyone, he has friends. So the upshot is there are these two ladies, Jenny and Faye. Jenny has just been divorced. She's a lovely, vivacious 30-something. And they, after a series of other blind dates for each of them, which were just horrible, they meet each other and they think, but the sparks fly, They crazy about each other, and a relationship blooms. And they are so crazy about each other, they decide, we're going to get married. That sounds wonderful. Happy ending ensues, right? Well, for those of us of a certain age, we know you cannot just start something new until you take care of what's been. George's wife just died. He's still in love with her. He's still got, the condolence cards are still coming in the mail.
Sure.
So he loves Jenny, but there sits his darling dead wife in the middle. And you have to deal with that.
Yeah. Well, there aren't many playwrights better than Neil Simon who can bring the pathos, bring the comedy, pull the heartstrings. If you know it's a Neil Simon thing, it's going to be done well.
It's going to be done well, and it was on Broadway, for crying out loud. So you kind of have to know what you're doing if you're on Broadway. And there's actually two couples, because Leo and Faye, a friend, they kind of get together, even though they're both married. I won't even go there. But we're very fortunate to have a wonderful cast for this. You may know Sam and Renee Benham are playing Jenny and George. Sam is a local attorney, and Renee teaches at, I think, not Ohio State. Anyway, they're wonderful. They're very involved in the community. And the others are played by Scott and Beth Kraft.
Okay.
And you may know Beth Kraft as well. They're both involved. So you see, we have two actual couples, married couples, who are playing.
Interesting.
So that makes it a little nicer, because there may be a kiss or two in here, and we thought, well, that'll be a little more
So
comfortable.
is it just those four people?
Just the four.
Okay.
Yes. It's August. A lot of people are out of town. We thought we would go with a smaller cast. We have a
Nice.
better chance of success. Getting actors are not saying, well, I'm off in Europe that month. So
this is your first time behind the scenes there directing.
Yes.
Are you finding that challenging?
Oh my goodness, yes. In fact, the biggest challenge initially was finding a play to do. There's so many out there, and we can do pretty much anything at Garret, yes, but we're in one room,
Yeah.
which is accessed by an elevator, which, yay, is now working.
Perfect.
But we have to bring up all our props, and when we were planning a play, at that point the elevator wasn't quite ready, so we're trying to find something that doesn't have a ton of props, because you have to haul them up the steps. So we searched and searched, my cousin and I, and finally settled on this as a good one. We try to have something that's not got a lot of profanity and such. We don't, we want everybody to have an enjoyable time.
Sure.
And we want something that doesn't have 20 people in it, because we have a small space.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things you have to think about. We don't have lighting, we just have what's on the ceiling.
Sure.
So you adapt, and the library is wonderful and it's perfect, but you have to make sure you fall in those parameters. So that's the hardest part. Now, the next part, when you look at the play, this is, as I said, a Broadway play, and you look at the stagecraft, and they have like 4 pages of props and 6 pages of stuff to put on the set. Well, that's not going to happen. So you have to adapt. And what have I got in my living room that I could put on that stage?
We've got a minute or so left, and we'll get back to when this play is and coming up here. But I know you have some future things.
Yes, we do. Generally, we had a play in the spring, we have a play in the summer. Generally, we have one in the fall. This year's a little something different. We will be having a play for children in November, and it's written by Marilyn Steiner, whom I'm sure you know.
And we've had her on many times.
Yes, she's a wonderful playwright. It's called The Wolf on Trial, and there will be a judging here in Fairfield County, because you may remember the big bad wolf. Is he guilty or is he not guilty?
Nice.
So I will say no more, because the jury hasn't been selected yet, and I don't want to influence anybody, but that's coming up. There's also a play in December that we are doing with Lancaster Playhouse and the university.
Done that for a couple years, and
Yes.
it's always worked out well.
And this year it's the classic Charles Dickens Christmas Carol.
It sounds like you go out with a bang.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's called Neil Simon's Chapter 2, and it's August 16th, 17th, and 18th, just a block away from here, the Garret Players. No charge. Cookies are available up there. It's going to be a great Neil Simon play. Looking forward to it. Our director, Ellen Simmons, has been the one telling us about it. It's going to be great. We'll look forward to it. Can't wait to see it. And good luck as you move into the fall and then into the OUL months out there. That's will be great fun.
Yes, it will. Thank you so much for having us.
Ellen
I appreciate
Simmons
it.
with the Garret Players, and it's Chapter 2, August 16th, 17th, and 18th at the library just behind us here. Thanks for joining us on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.